What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for February 19th, 2023. Let's start with our Philly Sports Black History Spotlight. Today we spotlight Dawn Staley. Dawn starred at Dobbins Tech. She was a three-time Public League champion, and in 1988, she won the National Player of the Year for high school. She go to Virginia, where she led the Cavaliers to three Final Fours in her time there. She was a two-time National Player of the Year. She played overseas before coming back home to the WNBA, where she was one of the best to ever play. She was on their 10th anniversary team, the 15th anniversary team, and just very, very inspiring to everybody because she was 5'5" and still was able to just dominate, basically. While she was still playing, she became the head coach at Temple, where she coached for 8 years, 2000 to 2008, which was amazing. Like, she was a phenomenal coach while still playing at a high level in the WNBA. While coaching Temple, she won 4 A-10 titles, took them to 6 tournaments. She's coached a variety of national teams through various games. She was on the 2016 gold medal team as an assistant. She also won 3 gold medals as a player. Just a phenomenal person, phenomenal coach, phenomenal player, inspiration to many, basically because she showed that if you work hard, no matter what your size or how tall you are, you can do it. So she was just a very instrumental part in inspiring a lot of girls in the city. So that's why we're saluting her. She currently coaches at South Carolina, but I'm going to get more into that next month. Want to keep this basically focused on what she's done as a Philadelphia player or coach. But she kind of helped turn that Temple women's team around from where they were, gave them some national prominence. So shout out to you, Dawn Staley, for all of your work you've done at Temple, inspiring many girls across the city. I know when I was teaching, a lot of the girls who played basketball really looked up to her because she was coaching at Temple while I was working in the city. So it was pretty cool. A lot of them would go down to games and everything. So she just was very inspirational to all the girls across the city. So thank you and shout out to you, Dawn. All right. I do want to make a correction from something I said yesterday. I had the coach for Loyola Marymount correct the first time. It was Paul Westhead, not Paul Westfall. Westfall was an NBA player. He coached the Suns. Paul Westhead also coached sometimes in the NBA, but Paul Westhead was the guy who coached Loyola Marymount, and he was actually a Philly guy. He went to West Catholic as well as St. Joe's. So I always strive to make sure my facts are correct. So I had it right the first time, changed it. So that is the correct person who coached Loyola Marymount while Hank Gathers was there. Flyers update, they lost 6-2 to Vancouver. Again, Vancouver's a good team, so there you see how they're starting to play. You'd like to see them play a little bit better against some of these better teams, but they're a young team still learning, so we'll continue to monitor that. Still no word on whether Joe is going to play in the All-Star game or not. Apparently it's not going to be until LeBron and KD actually draft their teams later tonight, so I'm hoping he doesn't. Again, it's selfish because it would help the Sixers a lot more if he did not play, basically because they need him, and you don't really get anything out of the All-Star game. So fingers crossed he decides to take the doctor's orders and sit out, because I'd rather him sit out this game than a game. They have a tough stretch right out of the gates from the All-Star break, so I'd rather him be healthy for those games. Newly signed on a two-way contract, Mac McClung actually won the dunk contest last night. It was actually pretty cool. It was the first time that I can remember in a while that the dunk contest was actually entertaining. He dominated. So I don't know if anybody in Philadelphia had the week that Mac did. He signed that two-way contract from the Blue Coats as well as won the dunk contest. So Mac, you're winning the week. But it was pretty cool to see. 6 foot. I mean, the man was jumping out of the building. So pretty cool to see. If you didn't see it yet, go back and see some of the replays. Like, some of his dunks were just ridiculous. All right, let's go back to 1993 today. Excuse me. And the Temple Owls beat the St. Joe's Hawks 66-65. The win put Temple over 500 for good for the season. They started off hot, and then they went on a losing streak, and then they were 500. Then they win one, lose one. But this win put them over 500 for good for the season. St. Joe's actually had a very open look at from 15 feet at the buzzer that did not go in. And the win did propel Temple the rest of the season. Then they kind of went on a nice little run through the rest of the regular season into the A10 tournament, where they make it to the final before they would lose to UMass. This is when Calipari was there and Marcus Camby. So they were just a very, very good team at the time, but one of Temple's biggest rivals. So that run helped them get into the NCAA tournament as a 7 seed. They got hot, and again, Chaney's tough scheduling paid dividends for them as they went on a run to the Elite Eight that year before losing to Michigan's Fab Five, which was one of the games that I was completely torn about as a kid. I was definitely rooting for the Owls, but I'm a Michigan guy too, so it was fun to see that. They played them pretty tough too, but we'll get more into some of those March Madness games as we get into March. But that Temple team was stacked. There were 4 guys that ended up playing in the NBA. You had McKee, Rick Brunson, Eddie Jones, and William Cunningham had a decent career as a backup role player. But very, very deep team. Again, with that, it's just amazing the teams that John Chaney had that he could never get over that hump. But on this day, back in 1993, Temple beat St. Joe's 66-65 to kind of spark the rest of their season and go on a run to the Elite Eight. Hopefully, we see some more of that. We're going down today. I think their tournament hopes are done, but it's always a good time. We're going down, taking the kids down for Hooters' birthday. It's kind of what we do every year. The first year, we actually took some of my winnings from the Super Bowl, and we actually got pretty decent seats. So now that they're old enough, looking forward to that. But there will be no magical run to the Elite Eight for the Temple Owls this year unless somehow they win the AAC tournament, which I guess they beat Houston, so it's not necessarily impossible, just not likely. But hopefully, fingers crossed that Joe does not play in the All-Star game. Again, a shout out to Dawn Staley for just inspiring so many girls across the city and for the work she did as coach of the Temple Owls. Go have yourselves a Sunday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.